There ain't no damn superior race. There is no such thing as a race here, much less for there to be a superior one. There is one race of mankind, and the demons wish to demote them to humans. There is perpetual motion, there is cause and effect, there is mindset cultivation, and dharma and karma. No person or people would be on this earth hell plane if he was not karmic. You go to hell planes as karmics and to divine higher planes when you have absolved your degree of growth. Those that had higher spiritual effects would be living on a higher plane. So the very fact that you are here, if you are not here as an empath, you are here as karmic. I have a hard drive in my laptop, but it does different from yours. It is not superior or inferior, but it was cultivated differently. All our general differences are created because of populous circumstances, but within all of this is always the truth. 99% of black men that tell you that black folks are better fighters could not stand and face Hulk Hogan, and 99% of white men that tells you that white men are faster could not even catch the dust off the heels of Usain Bolt. It is always the individual and the individual day. And with common sense, you should figure it out, for it's simple. Now, with all this said, listen, if you go to Ghana, no Ghanaian will tolerate you using the left hand to shake. It is their culture. If a white woman goes to any black population, including Spanish Town in Kingston, Jamaica, or Dorchester in MA, USA, when gangsters are rolling, no three black men are going to help two black women to fight a single white woman. It will not happen. It is their culture. It happened and it might happen to a black woman in a white bar. I posted a video surrounding this latter case, and it did provoke me to try and explain that white people are not no damned special race from anywhere, just so their prejudicial culture might be exposed for what it is. It is mal cultivation, it is rap, and it is misleading. An act of mindset cultivation sorcery that will not and cannot benefit the white race nor any other race, but can destroy the world. Yet, by me saying this, some people thought that I was trying to imply that blacks are superior. I don't know how you deduce that. Well, there you have it. I did not and will not say anything of the sort. Why? Because I am not stupid. That would seem like self-condemnation. No, no matter pushes out a no mother pushes out a child and then turns around and say, "I am better than you." If the child does not know better, then the father should know better. Hello again, my people. Welcome to my channel. Skywalker stays in the shadows from where the light will be reflected. Before I go any further, please hit the like button for the algorithm, share and subscribe to help this channel to grow. People with ego problems will also have problems with separation of issues. This is because what is in their heart is always projected to the meaning of the other person, and I get that. I say one word, but if I am free of unhealthy ego, it comes from a different perspective than what those with unhealthy ego will be able to conceive. I remember being on a flight from Jamaica to Boston, and the attendant was serving me coffee. I ordered my black coffee, and because she did not believe that I needed no milk or sugar, she asked me twice. She could not conceive this from her own perspective. She served me the coffee, and when I tasted it and was satisfied, she winced as if she was in pain. Her own mind was telling her what she imagined as my experience. My experience was nothing like that. I had a person who watched my channel imagining what conceived my idea for talking about the lie that white people are told. In his mind, we are supposed to be two different people fighting over a stupid superiority complex. But none of that is in me. I am someone who is led to tell the truth, who knows that we are the same people confused into believing that we are different. And the white people are cultivated to be the P. Diddy in the shooting of Tupac. P. Diddy should never have interest in someone who was coming to help the people suffering around him. P. Diddy's people, the people around Tupac, was also P. Diddy's people, and those are the people Tupac was looking out for. However, P. Diddy seemed to have handlers that made him feel special and untouchable or superior to his own people. This is the difference between field slave and house slave, white man and black man. The white man has an handler just like how P. Diddy has an handler, and just like how the house slaves, the black house slaves, had an handler. It has nothing to do with inferior, superior, mumbo jumbo bullshit. If P. Diddy is not destroyed at the end of his usage, it will be very much like a miracle. I am predicting that the white race is more in danger than the other races. After slavery in Jamaica, many privileged folks ran away and left their wealth out of fear. Turned out that they were the same people after all. White people were taken and isolated as children to start a population near or in Mittany region that would have no connection with who they are and where they were from. To this day, most white persons still become unsure about their true origins. Even when they declare boldly, there is this thing in the back of their mind that tells them that there is something missing about their own origin. And this is something that I know. I've done this for over 30 years. Most white people do not know that some Africans have the details of the past, and this is because they are ancient. Most white people cannot conceive the things that we know, that it is possible. That flight attendant could not conceive me loving the coffee like that. No, many people I know cannot conceive the fact that I love limes and lemons and I eat them like oranges. I cut them and eat them, and I like the skin, the bitter part. Many white people cannot conceive the fact that in that bar fight, the black men, you could not find a black man who would join the fight. He would be trying to party. And that's his culture. That culture is an embedded part of the culture. Because in his mind, it was just be like two women fighting. It's intrinsic in him because he is not isolated within himself as a people. It is the white person who is isolated from mankind as a different, as a superior being that maybe he came from the sky as Superman or something. All others are still connected to their roots. Even the Japanese, the Chinese, and such are connected to the root, but the root they are connected to is the original black people that live there. The Italians are more connected to our root than the other Europeans like from America and so on. Even though the people in Greece went there upon the bones of black people, they are connected to that root because listen, the blood of the Japanese is the blood of the Ugandan that the white folks went and saw in Japan. And the history is the same intrinsic history. It's just that the first child was a colored child and then the second child is a whiter child. And this is not to say the Japanese is white, but you know the difference. But they are connected to that root and are indigenous to it. The other white folks and what you call the pure white folks never connected to any root. And this is why it's more difficult. It's mindset cultivation. Now, if they were connected, say they went to Palestine, and when the Germanic people, the first white people, were going across, when they went to the Caucasus mountain and they whited out the black priests, instead of genociding them, they did like what they did in Egypt and just left a group of people there, just like what happened to the Arabs, that the white looking Arab, not the original black ones. Then the people there, like the Indians also in India, they were there, they whited out, and then they were intrinsic anyway because he is his mother's child. And his mother was that first black woman, and then they build their own legacy upon the same culture. But for most white people, it was not that. They were always uprooted. And then they just move around as a superior people, plundering, and then they never got rooted. So this is why they will always be unsure, no matter what, about who they are. So if just being black or white made you who you were, Jamaicans would not have to be cautioned about how to behave when they visited Ghana. Jamaicans can literally be seen as Ghanaians by blood. There are absolutely no closer relatives in Africa. So why Jamaicans do not know that when you go home, you cannot use the hand you would typically use to wipe your butt to serve? Two or three white men with rhinoceros-sized balls would join two white women fighting one black woman, not because they are an inferior race, but because of their culture. I live in Jamaica and I do not turn on the news because I hate watching the wicked things people do to each other. Most people in Jamaica are black, but is it about race? No. Nowhere in America is as peaceful as Botswana in Africa. One year, I heard that a population of 8 million had about 4 murders for the year and felt like it was a national disaster. So why would they be so peaceful? Why would they be so peaceful? And people you claim are killing off each other in the wood. The same people. Is it because they are the chosen black race from out of the sky? No, it is not. It is mindset cultivation surrounding a positive culture. I have seen videos of Chinese authorities doing horrible things to Chinese in China. A person was hit by a car in the streets and other cars were just driving over that person. So, are they more heartless than anyone? No. My time spent among white people exposed me to the fact that many will gossip, envy, and sabotage each other very quickly, just like other races do. One man will take a gun and try to shoot down the entire world. Why is it so? It is because of the way their minds were affected and responded to the environment. Most people will do not act outside of their culture or experience, but some do. Whenever I post a video about black or white, I don't want black or white to get it twisted. There is no damn superior or innocent race. We are all here to learn. Some are given privileges to be judged by their actions. For some, privileges are taken away so they will be judged by their actions as well. If the people of the world really come to know that there are third parties upon our domain, but it is we who are taking the blame for all that occurs, we will move to become better. Do you think, by the mindset of most black people in America, by giving them 1 billion reparation dollars each, it is going to elevate the race? No. You first have to repair the head before any other reparations will make sense. You don't give a gambler or a drunkard $1 million and say go start a life and expect that great things are gonna happen. A leaking bucket must be repaired before it is refilled. But the great wonders that were created in the past by these same people proves the fact of reprogramming. And it also proves the fact that the hard drive is always the same. Black, white, Chinese, Indian is the same freaking hard drive. It only has to do with the programming. And when we say things about distant past, and when many white folks get offended that they seem to be excluded, listen, it is not excluding you, but it is a fact that there were no other races yet, and that you as a race simply came by the fact that you were selected and told that you are a separate people after much of these histories had already taken place. So you were not even around when some of these things occurred. You were told to take your legacy and change the history of how things were by imposing you into the image of past truths. The Japanese still have their Ugandan names because of the ways things and widening out in that section of the world. Obuda, the Ashanti, is still worshipped in the East as Buddha, and the Chinese call the black Kung Fu Tizi, Kung Fu, and whites say Confucius. The only difference is that the whitening out at all high points of power took more than 1,000 years just to initiate. Even in slavery, they worked to create mulatto populations to govern on their behalf as superior to the masses. In Johannesburg, had apartheid was not stalled, if apartheid was not stalled, they would claim to be indigenous. The people from Netherlands would claim to be indigenous to South Africa. They will have their state in South Africa where they say they were indigenous by now, similar to what they do in Egypt. And then they try to say the black population are not the true Egyptians. This is what they were taught. This is what they were brought to being far. This is was the idea from day one to change the history of how things were. In fact, it is written in history that even you, as white people, can go and read. In 100 years, Michael Jackson would be a white man. Even Bob Marley would be a white man. I mean, all of them would be white. This is the idea because you have to now make yourself the beacon of light for the world because you are so different from everybody and you have to make sure you are superior. So, I mean, they claim they would claim to be indigenous to that part of Africa, just as they did in Egypt before sending the indigenous Nubians out to the outskirts to be seen. So if you go to Egypt and you want to see the real Egyptians, you cannot. Those people are you see are Europeans. Well, they have. I mean, they are mixed. But they are truly more Europeans than the real people. You want to see the authentic people, you have to leave and go look in the bushes where they are driven out. This is how it's done, and it's done like that all over the world, even in India. The same thing happened in India, as I said. In fact, Indians were some of the first humans to be whited out. Go to India and tell me where you find the darker ones. Look at the leadership hierarchy in black populations. What do you notice at the top? I am telling you that minorities are chosen, are created to usurp the society of mankind. Now that they use homosexuals to head government as a privileged minority, they attempt to turn as many straight into gays to also destabilize them. They will remain the minority hating the majority, but at the same time, they will be destabilizing. This is not something that I'm saying that gays plan to do. Gays did not plan to do this. I'm talking about a power that is manipulating. It is manipulating them. Just like how the white man is being manipulated, the house slave is being manipulated, the homosexual is being manipulated, even to the degree that sometimes I wonder if he is being fooled. I mean, maybe one morning we'll wake up and hearing say he's a different race. He's saying now he's a different race because he's homosexual, so he's not the same race and he's a superior race. Everybody is being manipulating, isolated, brought to a new division, turned into a different cell, and manipulated by the Emmanuel. And then they do this praying ritual every day because every day time you bow and pray, you do the ritual of surrender and subject. And this ritual was made for that reason. This is why sometimes I try to show you different rituals and what they mean. Why and the ritual of swearing on the balls, I just did a video on it and why you do it in court. White people are not a different people from any different planet. The closest you get to that argument is this. The Elohim left their children, mankind, to man the earth and create their own. Then their slaves, the abominable Igigi or Emmanuel beings, came to usurp and defile the daughters of men. After Elohim came back to save mankind by destroying these fallen ones, they discovered that the genes were already embedded in man, like at the birth of Noah and Aisha and Jacob. Every now and again, the genes will show up in a random birth. It does not mean the child is different. It is just how genetics work in this case. I am not a biologist, but this is how it works. This is no presumption. Every now and again, this still happens in Africa, and I don't mean albino. However, if I left if left alone, the unusual child would just be unusual until he by his seed re-emerge into the population or re-merge into the population. He would just be an isolated person and then he goes back to the population again because his children would be black again. But in the case of the white people that are now a race, they were isolated as one group of people, and that is why they are all white. Because when this gene it comes, they are not going to bring forth black children anymore. They are not going to. The black person will be able to bring more white people, but the white ones won't be able to bring back the black children. And this is that's why I said there's a deficient. There's something that is deficient that is not going to let it come back. And I'm not a biologist, but I'm telling you what's happening. The problem came when someone decided to turn this into a race. They were selected, isolated, and incubated. What in this is me saying that black folks are superior? No parent is superior to their child. Peace out.